and I often tell people, you know, I do a lot of pro bono work, and I say, you know, I'm going to do this for free, but this is what I require of you, is that you go out and one time help 3 more people. Since I had worked at Youth to Volunteer Lawyers, I've seen the need, and I've seen a different part of society than a lot of attorneys. There are many, many wonderful people that for different reasons are indigent. I've always especially enjoyed working with people that had had money at one time and now normally because of health issues are destitute. And they're so appreciative because they know what I'm doing, how much normally an attorney costs. And they're so grateful for everything I do. And I again screen them very carefully. I don't like doing involuntary pro bono. I like to pick and choose my cases. And so what sometimes I do is if someone I've met and they cannot afford me, then I just run it through call Youth to Volunteer Lawyers and say, you got a new client, and you know, I'll represent them. So since I've worked there, I know what their criteria is. I treat all of my pro bonos just like I do my regular clients. So I think that that's part of who I am. I know several years ago when I worked at Youth to Volunteer Lawyers, we were discussing one day if we won the lottery, who would be at work the next day. And I said, I'd be here the next day. I said, because I enjoy what I do. I have found that since I've really, a year ago when I came back from the convention in North Carolina, I came home and redid all my business cards and my stationery, and I put holistic lawyer on it. And I put holistic attorney, counselor at law, and mediator. Because a generation ago, to be an attorney was a calling. It was a profession. It wasn't a business. And I think we need to go back to that. I think that, you know, right now we're viewed below used car dealers. And I think that that's a tragedy. People come to me for my opinions. That's all I can sell is my knowledge and my advice. If they don't like my advice, they're free to go to someone else. But, you know, a lot of what I do is it's just a lot of what I think I do is common sense. I take the law, but I also apply it into reality. When I was at Youth to Volunteer Lawyers, there was a lot of discrimination going on with people with AIDS. And I would say, yes, we will do it. But let me tell you the investment you're going to be making, even though it's not financial. You know, this is going to take a year of your life. You're going to have to go through depositions. We're going to have to spend hours working together. And it's going to take an emotional toll on you. Are you willing to make that investment? Even though the lawyer will be free, you're going to be involved in this. It's going to be part of your life for the next year. And many of the people would call and I'd say, think about it for 24 or 48 hours and call me back. Most of the people that called me back said, thank you. I understand I do have the grounds for a lawsuit and that you would represent me, but I don't want this to consume my life. I'm not willing to make the emotional investment because I'm so ill now. And I said, okay, that's fine. That's what I wanted you to know, is that we're here to help you, but that it might impact your health long term. And I thought that was very important, that people understood what their life would be like if they were going to be even involved in a lawsuit. They were going to be actively involved. It's going to consume their lives. And I don't think a lot of attorneys I deal with don't want to discuss emotions and feelings. And even at mediations, they don't like to discuss emotions and feelings and stories. And I think no matter whether I do family law mediations or whatever kind of mediations I do, people have to tell you their story. In in every relationship, feelings, thoughts, emotions are involved. And you can't separate the legal issues from people's feelings. And people want to tell someone, be it a judge, and I tell people at mediations, I'm never going to discuss this with anyone. The judge will never know what we discussed. Most people just want to tell a third party their story. Many lawyers are uncomfortable with emotions because they don't want people in their office crying. They don't want to deal with their clients' emotions. They don't want to hear the story because it's usually messy. And I think that that's an integral part of practicing law. That's what a counselor at law is. One thing that I do, and it's different and it's on my website, is the first question I ask anyone that calls me is, have you done everything you can to save your relationship? And they go, what? And I said, I really don't want you for a client. It's really cheaper to stay together. And in fact, I've got several clients to reconcile. And in several cases, I've said people, when they tell me what's wrong with their spouse, I'll go, has your spouse had a physical in the last year? I'll go, no. I said, I think your spouse needs to go to the doctor. I think your spouse is severely depressed. And a couple of older clients where their personalities had changed dramatically and they were suspicious and they accused their spouse, who's probably 60 or 70 years old, of having affairs. I believe those people may have had the beginning of dementia or a stroke. And what's interesting is no one had ever thought of that. And it's only through hearing the story, which makes sense to me, that this person does not need a divorce. This person needs a doctor and needs to get some medical treatment or psychological treatment. I think for any attorney, a brand new attorney, one, there are the Texas lawyer. Well, in Texas we have the Texas Lawyers Creed. You should always treat all attorneys the way you want to be treated. And I believe that you should always be respectful to not just the judges, but all the staff. And just treat, if everyone treated everyone according to the golden rule, the way they would like to be treated, I think the practice of law would be much more civil. This Rambo, outmaneuvering, being the shark, is an antiquated system, and it's not helpful at all for the clients. What I've found, and what I've seen in family law especially, is there's a lot of attorneys that get in their 40s and their health goes down the tubes, or they get addicted to alcohol or drugs. And I see it a lot. A lot of young guys are have had to leave the practice of law because of major health issues. I think since I came back last year and proclaimed myself to be a holistic attorney, I have had more fun. In fact, I thanked the lady that had fired me a year ago. She was at our 1-year anniversary. I said, thank you for firing me, because I just have discovered why I became an attorney, and I've had more fun than the last year that I've had in years. Also, when I'm working with people in a non-confrontational manner, at the end of the day, I'm energized, I'm not drained. And that is fabulous. And it's just, I guess for a long time, I really have watched a lot of my clients' kids grow up. They send me the photos. I'm on 3 generations in some families. And it's because you get to, once you represent one person, my referral base is unbelievable. I do probably 50% of my business from referrals, and it's from pro bono and from my regular paying clients, and it's just because they say, you talk to me like a human being. It's amazing how many lawyers just, put on airs. The first thing I tell people, and it's on my business card, is breathe. Because so many people aren't breathing. And if you're not breathing, you're not getting any oxygen to your head, and you can't think. And the first thing I tell people is just take a deep breath. It'll all be okay. We're going to just sit here, and I usually spend about 2 hours on my first meeting with people because they've got to tell me everything. And then I send them home with a lot of homework, and then we meet again in about a week with a whole other list of questions that they've thought about. And I think that's what a lot of what attorneys need to do, is just be there and take a lot of the fear of the court system out. I try to stay out of court. If I end up in court, I really feel like I've failed a client. Because I know what the judges are going to do, I know what the law is, and I believe it's much less expensive to work things out at mediation or